In continuation with the previous video, okay, what we're saying basically is that if you're looking at this line from the load, it appears like it has been terminated over here, okay, and clearly because the susceptances have been cancelled out between the susceptance of the stub that we have added and the susceptance of the line, okay, it is going to appear like the line has been terminated in characteristic impedance of R naught, or if you're looking at it in terms of conductance, as characteristic conductance of 1 by R naught, if you're looking at it from this particular direction. Okay, so from A to the load, reflection and standing waves occur. But since now what we are saying basically is this, we are considering this to be a point A. Okay, but now let me say that the actual load lies somewhere here. Okay, while this may appear like a big distance, physically, when you're looking at a transmission line, this is a distance of a few millimeters, okay, which hardly matter. So the line, instead of appearing like it has terminated here, is going to appear like it has terminated over here, okay. Now there is going to be some amount of reflection between this point and this point, but it's a very small distance, okay. So the losses are not very severe. So certain amount is going to be lost between this point and this point, but the losses are not very severe. Okay. Now, our next task is that since both the location and the length of the stub must be determined. Okay, location why? Because you have to find the point of 1 by R naught. Length why? Because you are adjusting the length to have a susceptance of minus or plus JB if the susceptance of the line is plus or minus JB. They have to cancel out. Okay, so we are determining both the location and the length of the stub. Now, two independent measurements must be made on the original line and load to secure sufficient data. Now we come to the derivation part of it. Okay, what do we do while we are doing this derivation? A voltage minima is chosen rather than a maximum. Okay, now what we are doing basically is that we find out if this is my line, okay, this is the load, this is the actual load, okay, we find a point of voltage minima, okay, this is a point of voltage minima whose distance from the load is going to be S2, okay. Now you could, obviously there are millions of voltage minimas that occur on the line, but we find a voltage minima that is closest to the load. Okay, this is the load, the one that is closest to the load, the minima that is closest to the load is found out. Supposing if this was my line and you found, if the length of the line is so long and you find the voltage minima over here, that means that you're simply increasing the, because like I said, between the voltage minima and the load, that length of the line is actually being wasted and there is going to be loss. Okay, so if you take the voltage minima that is further away from the load, you are simply increasing the losses that would be introduced. Okay, so what we do, we take in a voltage minima that is closest to the load. Now, why is it that we take a voltage minima and not a voltage maxima? We take in a voltage minima because it can be more accurately measured in comparison to a voltage maxima. Okay, measurement of a voltage minima can be done more accurately. Okay, and that is why we are taking a voltage minima. We choose a voltage minima that is closest to the load. Fine. Now, between this voltage minima and the load, you find the spot at which the conductance is going to be equal to 1 by R naught. You place in the stub. Okay. Now, this distance is taken as D, and this distance, where your distance of the stub away from the load, is what we are looking as S1. Okay, so the distance S2 is the distance of the voltage of the closest voltage minima from the load. Okay, the distance D is the distance between your voltage minima and the stub, and the distance S1 is the distance of your stub from the load. Okay, so you have to keep this in mind and know this very thoroughly. Now, what we are saying is the source impedance is ZS. So clearly the source admittance is going to be YS. Okay. and the impedance of this stub is we are referring to as YA, the impedance of the stub that has been placed. Okay. Now, before we look at admittance, it's simply going to be the reciprocal of the impedance. So, our input impedance is given to us by a term, we have seen this earlier, R0 into 1 plus K angle of phi minus 2 beta S upon 1 minus K angle of phi minus 2 beta S. So, if you are writing your equation in terms of admittance, Ys is clearly going to be equal to the reciprocal of this. So, 1 by R0 into the reciprocal. So, we get the 1 minus K term in the numerator, so here, and we get the 1 plus K term in the denominator here. So, and we call this equation number 2. Now, this 1 by R0 is nothing but G0. So, we write this as Ys is equal to G0 into this. Alright. Now, if you write this equation in terms of its cos and sine, then we would write it as this particular equation. Okay, so get your numerator and your denominator. If I have made a mistake, kindly bring it to my notice. But these are the equations that we get so far. Our next task is, okay, instead of writing this long term of phi minus 2 beta S, further on I have written phi minus 2 beta S as theta. But actually theta is equal to phi minus 2 beta S. Okay, our next task is to rationalize. So what I have done here is, I want you all to try this out and do it by yourselves. Okay, so I have rationalized, okay, the previous equation. And I've missed out the in-between steps and I've arrived at this equation. Please do the in-between steps and see whether you all arrive at this equation. Kindly bring it to my notice if I've made a mistake. Okay. Now, expressing the shunt conductance as a dimensionless ratio. Okay. So, instead of what we do is, this is clearly going to be equal to, Y is nothing but, so Ys is going to be equal to GS plus JBS. Okay. So, we have a conductance term and we have a susceptance term. So, what we do is, we first look at the conductance, separate out the real terms and equate it to the conductance, separate out the imaginary terms and equate it to your susceptance. Again, you all can try doing this by yourselves. So, from this equation that we have, separate out the real terms. So, what we get is 1 minus K square upon the denominator clearly doesn't have any imaginary term. So, separate out the denominator has to stay common. Okay, so separate out the real terms and this is what we get. Separate out the imaginary terms and this is the equation that we get. And we call it equation number 3 and equation number 4. I want you all to write these equations down. Now, so we've got our equation of GS by G0 and we've got our equation of BS by G0 for susceptance and the shunt conductance here and the shunt susceptance over here. We've got these two equations from the equation of admittance by separating out the real terms and the imaginary terms. Okay. Now, having done that, what we do next is we plot a graph. Okay. We plot a graph. So, if you look at this over here, now this is a plot where we are plotting a graph of these two equations by considering that the value of K is 0.5. Okay, so we've plotted a graph. Now, if you look at this particular graph over here, what you see on top is we've plotted a graph. This is my transmission line with the stub placed in. We've looked at the distances of D. We've marked the distance of D, S2 and S1. Okay. Now, if you look at this particular graph, you will see that we get a maximum of GS by G0 at S2. Okay, so this is a voltage, this is a point of voltage minima where the conductance of GS by G0 is going to be equal to a maximum value. Okay, so the value of, so if we can see in that graph, the value of GS by G0 can be seen as having a maximum for the value of S2 at which the cosine term is -1. Okay, so at which, what we do next is, if you look at that particular graph over here, okay, we have GS by G0, okay, at S2 is going to be equal to S, okay, and cos of this term, so cos of 5 minus 2 beta S2, instead of S, I write this as S2, is going to be equal to minus 1. So if you take the cos inverse of minus 1, we get 5 minus 2 beta S2 to be equal to minus pi. Okay, so S2 is then clearly going to be equal to 5 plus pi upon 2 beta. This is 2 beta, and we call this equation number 5. This minus 1 term you can clearly see in the graph. Okay, that if you are looking at S2, we get this to be equal to maximum. Okay, where the cosine value is going to be equal to minus 1. So we've got this equation. Now our next task is to find out the equation of, now at distance of S2 from the load, okay, at distance of S2 from the load, go back to this equation that we have. Okay, go back to this equation number 3, and this term is going to be equal to minus 1. Okay, so this term is going to be equal to minus 1. We've already seen that cos of 5 minus 2 beta S2 is going to be equal to minus 1. So substitute that back into this equation, and we get Gs by G naught to be equal to 1 minus k square upon 1 plus k square minus 2k. Okay, cancel out the term. This is clearly going to be equal to 1 minus k the whole square. So that can be cancelled out, and we get 1 plus k upon 1 minus k. Okay, which is actually equal to S. And that's why I said over here that Gs by G naught at S2 is equal to S. Okay, so you know why. Because we get a term over here where Gs by G naught at S2 is equal to 1 plus k upon 1 minus k, which we have already seen is equal to S, and we call this equation number 5. Okay, now moving on, the point of maximum Gs by G naught is the point of minimum voltage at a distance S2 from the load, that we have already seen in the graph. Now at the distance S1 from the load, if you look at this over here, okay, at the distance S1 from the load, so at this distance over here, okay, at this distance over here, you will see here, corresponding to this point, we see that Gs is equal to G naught. Fine, at the distance of S1, okay, it's corresponding to Gs to be equal to G naught. So making that substitution over here, which means that at a distance of S1, we've already seen that in the figure, Gs is equal to G naught, which means that Gs upon G naught is going to be equal to 1. So go back to our equation over here, which is our equation number 4. Okay, go back to this equation, go back to equation number 3. At S1, this term is going to be equal to 1 at S1. Okay, so make that substitution. So what we've done over here is that here, instead of writing Gs by G naught, that's going to be equal to 1 because Gs and G naught are equal. Okay, so our equation number 3 becomes this particular equation. Cross multiply, cancel out the terms that you can cancel out. We get cos of 5 minus 2 beta S1 over here, not S2, is equal to minus k. Okay. The next thing that we do is, since cos inverse of minus k, now to make this a positive, what we do is introduce a term of minus pi. Okay, so cos inverse of minus k is equal to minus pi plus cos inverse of k. Okay, this you should know is coming from, this is something that you all must have done in the 12th standard. Okay, so what we have then is that 2 beta S1 is going to be equal to 5 plus pi minus cos inverse of k. S1 is equal to 5 plus pi minus cos inverse of k upon 2 beta. Okay, and that's our equation number 7. Now, hence the distance d from the voltage minima to the point of the stub connection, if you look at this particular figure, if you look at this particular figure over here, S2 minus S1 is going to give you the distance of D. Okay, and that's exactly what we are going to do in the next part. Okay, D is equal to S2 minus S1, and we are calling that equation number 8. Okay, so we substitute equation 6 and 7 in equation 8. Introduce the equation for substitute by the equation of S2, substitute the equation of S1, which is this. Okay, solve it by yourselves and see whether you arrive at the same equation that I do, where D is equal to cos inverse of K upon 2B. Okay, we also know that beta is 2 beta. Okay, and we know that beta is equal to 2 pi upon lambda. So I've made that substitution, and we've got cos inverse of K into lambda upon 4 pi. That's the same as I substituted for K over here, which is S minus 1 upon S plus 1 to lambda by 4 upon pi. Okay, now I've finished only doing the conductance part over here. Okay, this derivation is a rather long derivation which usually comes for something like 12 marks. Okay, so up to here I'm going to stop this video because this is a very long derivation. So please confirm every equation that I have done by writing it down and doing it by yourselves. Okay, so we will do the susceptance part in the next video.